The Kung Fu Panda series is very interesting, especially the Kung Fu Panda 4 movie. And one thing that caught my attention as a video editor was how they created the split screens. From the textured edges to animating the split screens. It's just so amazing how they use the split screen throughout the entire movie. And in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create split screens similar to that of the Kung Fu Panda movie and how to animate it. So stay tuned to the end. Basically, there are two effects that you can use to create split screens in Premiere Pro. That is the crop effect and the razor wipe effect. I have a video talking about creating split screens using the razor wipe effect. And if you're interested in using the razor wipe effect to creating your split screens, I'll leave the video link down in the description below. To start creating the split screens, we are going to use a lot of layers. I'm going to identify everything so it'll be easy for you to follow along. First, I have a folder called footage just to keep everything organized, and I have all the things that I need inside of this folder, like the texture, the pool video that I'm going to be working with, the Zen, and so on, and even the background. So I'm going to use this for the background, and this has to be the first layer which I'm going to add here. You can see if you look carefully around here, it does not fit the entire screen. So I'm going to go ahead, move to the effect controls with the clip selected and increase it so that it fits the entire screen. I'll start with this clip here and I'll double click it to open it under the preview window or the source window, and I have the area that I'm going to be working with and I need just the video. I'm going to drag video only and place it here. I'm going to add the texture, so I'm going to drag and drop it above everything, and I'll also cut this out. So for the texture, you're going to notice that just the edge right here has the texture, and I'm going to leave this very texture down in the description below so you can download and follow along with this tutorial. You can create textures like these, but just make sure that the entire thing is covered up. Just the edge should have the texture and it should match up with your composition setting. And for this, I'm using 1920 by 1080. The effect I'm going to be using is a track mate effect. So I'm going to select the video layer, go under the effects panel and search the track mate effect. Double click to add it to the video layer, and under the effect controls I'm going to scroll down, locate these, then under the matte effect I'm going to choose video 3 because video 3 is the texture layer. With the texture selected, I'm going to go under the effect controls, and if I move this slightly to the left, you're going to see the textured edges, but I want this to be the other way around. So I'm going to go under the effects panel, search flip, and what I'm interested in is a horizontal flip, so I'm going to double click to add it so that it will flip to the other direction. So if I move this to the other side, now we have the texture to the left and not to the right. So I think somewhere around here is good for now, but we are going to play around with these. So the first thing is that for the scale, I'm going to set this to 110 so that it will increase the size, and for the rotation I'm going to set this to 12. Now you see that this is cut out. That's because the texture has been rotated. So to adjust this, I'm just going to move this slightly below, and if I didn't increase the size, it won't really fit the way I want. What we can do to adjust this the way you want is you can play around with the video and the texture at the same time. So selecting the video layer, I'm going to move this slightly to the left around, let's just position it here, because I'm going to select the texture layer again, and for the position I'm going to move it, let's say around here. So I'm going to position it at top of the eye of the character pool. That's because I want to place another video here, so I'm going to use this as a reference. So I'm just going to play around with this to make sure that it matches up accordingly. So I think this is okay. Next, I'm going to add in the pool character. This is the section I want to be working with, so I'm going to drag and drop it. Same thing with the Zen character. So let me delete this area, then add in the texture layer again above everything, and then bring this in to around here. But for this, we need the texture to be this way, so we don't need to flip it. What we are going to do is just to select the video layer, search the track mate effect, double click to add it. And with that, I'm going to go under the effect controls and set the matte value to video 5, which is the texture layer. And same thing, I'm going to first of all position it somewhere around here, then select the texture layer and move it so that it will be, let's say, here for now, and just play around to make sure that it matches up. So let me first of all position it somewhere around here before I select the texture layer again and then move it to the right to somewhere around, let's say here, like this for now. But we can later on change the settings. So for the scale, same thing. I'm going to set the scale to 110, and for the rotation, I'm going to set this to -12 because it's the opposite direction with this, and we're going to have something like this. Now, since I was using the eye as a reference, you notice that this is not really, it's not really symmetrical to this. So I'm going to move this a little bit, let's say around, let me just position it here, select the video layer, then move it, let's say around here, before I select the texture layer again, and then move it to cover up the eye so that we have enough visible area of the character, like so. So I think this is somehow symmetrical, and we have the face in the center. Just make sure you play around to make sure that it is well positioned the way you want it. We are done positioning every character. So the next thing is that we want to organize everything in a single layer. I'm going to select these two clips, which is for the character pool, right click, then go down until I see nest layer. So I'm going to nest this up and give it the name pool just for organization purposes. And then select these other two layers, right click, go to nest, and then I will call it Zen. Hit on OK so that everything will be organized. Then bring this below. So this has created a sequence. If I double click it, you're going to see the two layers. They take the respective layers, that's video 5 and video 4, so you don't need to worry about changing the track mate effect and setting it to video 5 again. So everything is well organized. Selecting these two nested layers, I'm going to search the transform effect. Double click to add the transform effect on top of the two layers. With the first layer selected, I'm going to position my playhead at the very start of that layer. Scroll down and make sure that I find the transform effect. Set the first keyframe for the position, move some frames ahead, and set in the second keyframes. And back to the first keyframe, I'm going to move this off the screen into the upward direction. Select the two keyframes, right click, then go to temporal interpolation and continuous bezier. Scroll up and then uncheck the use composition shooter angle and set the shooter angle to 360 degrees. This will add some blurriness to the effect and make it to be very interesting. Same idea, select the Zen sequence, move down to the transform property or the transform effect, set the first keyframe for the position property, and then move ahead, set in the second keyframe, and back to the first keyframe. This time around, I'm going to move this the opposite direction, that's downward. Select the two set of keyframes, right click, temporal interpolation, and continuous bezier. Go down and uncheck the use composition shooter angle and set these to 360. And that's how you can create split screens with rough edges or textured edges and animating it in Premiere Pro. Hope you found the video useful and interesting. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video to support the channel grow. Thanks for watching, and until the next one, keep editing.